The size, like my wife tells me, doesn't matter, but it does, right? I know it does. Every inch matters, so smaller is better. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about RV electrical cables, to be precise. Should be a short video, but not next week, but the following week. We're taking the RV for the first time since Christmas, and we got a pretty good video on our Christmas vacation in Myrtle Beach. But we're going to Chicago, so from North Carolina to Chicago, a little bit longer trip. We're going to go boondock in the middle and then continue on. But my daughter joined the Navy and she's graduating from boot camp, so it's going to be a pretty cool video. I think we're going to get some shots of her, some shots of cruising DC, and a fresh, the newest sailor in the Navy. So her and everybody that she graduates with. So that's gonna be cool. So stay tuned in a couple weeks. But today I want to talk about my cables and something that I've never done before. I've never really looked at my cables, really gave them a good inspection, and I think that's probably something I should do often, considering on the first trip with this RV, the pedestal was behind the RV and on the other side, and I put the jack and left it on the, or no, I think I lifted it, but I put the jack for at least a small time on the cable, and I'll show you the damage that it caused. And I was concerned about it, but I really haven't looked at it since then, and that's almost 2 years ago. That's more than 2 years ago. So and some of the parts here, some of the parts we have are almost 4 years old, almost 5 years old, because we got our first RV at the end of 2019. So let's get right into the video. Let's try to make it a short video, and I'll show you how I'm going to be looking at my cables from now on and what's important about that. All right guys, well, here's my setup. This is of course a 50 amp RV, and I've got one 25-foot 50 amp cable and one 25-foot 30 amp cable. Now I would like a 50-foot or an extra 25-foot 50 amp cable, but they're expensive, and I've already had this 30 amper from our old RV, so this is what I've been using, and that requires adapters, and a company sent me one of their adapters, and I'm gonna look at that and talk about that today. But first, let me talk about how we plug in our RV. I don't know if you see it here, but right here is the old cable and the old socket from the RV. So you'll recognize this if you have a 50 amp RV, and you'll recognize the plug. Now, I hated lining this plug up. It's a hassle. I think half the time I do it, I cross thread the threads, so it's just a pain. In another video, and I bought this all on my own, I installed the RV smart plug. I'll try to paste that video below, but we installed the smart plug and the RV lock, so the digital keyless entry lock. So it's got a remote and it's got a code. So we are super happy with that, and we are super happy with this, because as you can see, that's it. It's in. And you squeeze these and pull it out, and it is out. Now this is a little salty. It's like 250 bucks. The best place to find it is walmart.com for the 50 ampers. You can find them on Amazon, but I've found that sometimes on Amazon you can only find the 30 amps. So 50 ampers, walmart.com. I'll try to update the price if I can remember, but it's not cheap, but it is worth every single penny. I'm just telling you, it's worth it. It is worth it. One small thing that I haven't had to yell about. But the next thing I'll talk about real quick are surge protectors. There are plenty of videos that go into depth on surge protectors. I'm just going to show you the two that I have. I've got the 50 amp, super cheap, one of the cheapest ones on Amazon, and then I got the Walmart Camco. So we've used this one for almost 5 years, a Walmart Camco. Our old RV was only a single AC 30 amper. And when you start with the oldest one, when you look at these and you inspect them, and on all your plugs here, you want to look for corrosion. So usually it's green or powdery, chalky, and it'll come off. You can use a little wire brush to get that off if you want to. actually one really interesting thing, and maybe I'll make a short on it eventually, is a pencil eraser will clean contacts. So if you've ever worked with circuit boards and you use and it's a little bit corroded, you can actually just use a pencil eraser and it will clean off these copper contacts. But you know, a light bristle brush will do just fine. You can put some dielectric grease on here and you'll be good. But yeah, you want to check the end. You want to check for any cracking in here, any cracking in this head at all, especially where these terminals come out, or in the back here, any cracking where the cable goes into the end here. So this looks pretty good. You know, no cracking there. Any cracking in the wires, any cracking here where the water could penetrate. So this looks good. This end as well, this end, and then you know, you can look in there for again, you could put dielectric grease and just plug the hole right up, and then it'll keep those protected. So this one looks good, and then the same for this one. And like I always use these, no matter what RV park we're at, we'll plug at least one of them in, depending on, you know, what's available. So, and that's why in a minute I'll talk about these dog bones, because I have to use a dog bone, obviously, because I'm going from my 50 to 30 amp, or I'm plugging into a 30 amp at an RV park, and then you want to immediately go to your 50. So let's take a look at the 50. And obviously, starting at this end, I installed this myself. So it was this is a stout cable, so it's not necessarily easy, but it's not too difficult. So just know that it's going to be a little bit of a struggle with your wires, but you might want to use a little bit of Vaseline, or probably Dawn dish soap, maybe even better, to get it in there. But otherwise, we're all set. So what you want to do is obviously look at where the water intrusion is again. On this one, you have a rubber seal, so you want to make sure that seal is in there, because that's what's going to make it waterproof. And again, this end here is going to make it waterproof. But then as you look down the cable, this is where you really want to inspect it. And what you can do, if you see a little nick or a scrape, and once we get to the scrape that I caused, we'll look at it. But you want to turn it over, look at both sides, and really give it a good inspection. And just for all truth, this is the second time I've done this, because I was trying out a new microphone and it did not work. So this is the second time I'm doing this, so I've already done this once. But what I did the last time is made sure I checked both sides. But there are two spots here, hopefully you can see them, where I gouged this thing on the landing gear. So what you can do, if you see this or even something different, just bend it, and that's gonna amplify any problems in this cable, right? So if it is punctured, you will hopefully see through, as this bends, any problems. But so as it bended, it doesn't look like it punctured it. It came pretty darn close, but I don't think it punctured it. So I won't continue on with that cable like I did the last time, because I don't need to. And then we'll look at this end, and this end looks good, sealed fine. These terminals are fine, it's not cracked. It's doing well. So that's how you're going to inspect that one, and that's how you're going to inspect this one as well. So I don't need to go over that one, since you would do the exact same thing. But what I will show you is the end of the cable. So obviously what you're looking for is, well, what you want to prevent is the cable to crack and water to protrude, to intrude inside of the cable. Now there is some protection here between the outer sheathing, the outer rubber sheathing, and the internal sheathing of each wire. So that's good, but it doesn't take much for a crack or a hole to allow for water to come in and start corroding these wires, and before you know it, you've got a short and you've got a major problem with your RV. So again, checking these wires is extremely important. But now the last thing I'll talk about is my dog bones. So this is the first dog bone I'll talk about, and most of them I bought up until this point at Walmart. So they're Camco, and they've done me fine. But this is the 30 amp to 15 or 20 amp. Well, it says 15 amp, but our outdoor GFCI plug that we plug our RV into while we're, you know, getting the fridge cooled down and running one of the ACs is actually a 20 amp GFCI, and it's done fine for our RV. When we tried to run two ACs, we did pop it once, and then I Spent half a day finding out where that second GFCI plug was, but we found it and turned it back on. But we just run one AC, and that's it. So this is the cable we use for that. It's been a good cable. And then we have the 30 to 50, and obviously when you use the 30 to 50, this is going to go on the end of your, so you're going to plug your 50 amp cable, the first one I looked at, into this, and then this is going to go either into this other cable here, or you're going to plug it into, you know, your well, you wouldn't have to plug it into this one. You would plug in to your surge protector, because this is, you know, would be your you know, coming off the pedestal. So you could do this first, because I'm sure they make a 30 amp to 50 amp surge protector, but most of them are 50 to 50 amp. They're going to be less expensive and easier to find. And this, I think if I didn't say, this one was the cheapest one on Amazon. So that's what we have for this one, but it works good. The adapter is what you're going to need if you only have 30 amp available. And again, you're only going to be able to run one AC. But a company reached out to me, a company called Trek Power, and they sent me their dog bone. And I'm actually kind of pleased with this dog bone for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, the size. So I don't know if you can see the size, but it's smaller. It still has the grip, so you can unplug it, because once this is plugged in, you know, getting it apart can be a struggle without the grip. So the grip is great, but the Camco has got this huge grip, and you know, I want to say that this is actually harder to take apart. Yeah, I don't know why that Camco is slightly harder to take apart, but even this small grip is just fine, unless you're older and you need a big grip. Then you might want to grab that one, but then you need a cord that has a big grip as well, because you want both ends to match. But yeah, this one here, the size, like my wife tells me a few times a week, doesn't matter, but it does, right? I know it does, because we keep all of our cables in there and in that box, so I can pull it out and, you know, use it. Every inch matters, so smaller is better, because it doesn't take up as much space, and that's great. And this one is clocked. I don't know if that's what I didn't notice last time, is how this one is clocked, right? So you've got, it plugs in on both sides, where this one switches. So you're going to plug in here, and it's going to plug in here, where the other one would be swapped. I don't know if it matters too much, but I actually kind of like that. And what I did notice here, if you didn't just see that, this is the 50 amp cable for the RV, and then this is the one that they sent. And I think they're made by the same company, and that cable's been great for us. But again, this is made really well. Both of these are made in China, but the one thing I did notice is the casting in here. So when they molded this, you know, there's a little extra plastic down in there, but none in this one, so that's good. And then, you know, it's about the same, but it seems like it's sealed a little better around these. But again, this is smaller, so it's going to fit into some better spaces. Another thing about this one, some of the pedestals are not very wide, and if you're going to be running this into a pedestal, sometimes those pedestals don't close, because you got giant ends running in there, and the pedestal cover won't close. This one might be a little bit better for closing that pedestal. So but again, this is Trek Power. I'll put a link to their website right here somewhere in the description. But the cable is solid. I like the length of it. You know, you're only losing, you know, what, 3 inches on the cable length. So over 50 foot, you know, 3 inches is not a big deal. And it's built really well. It seems to be nice and waterproof and very sturdy. Plastic is good quality. So this one was only like 25 bucks on their website. They did send this one, And this clearly is the 30 amp side, and this 30 amp side would probably work well for a 30 amp. I think they have a lot of British style, but if you've got this style of connector, then you'll be able to just switch right over to one of these. So yeah, overall I give this 5 out of 5 stars. We'll definitely be using it pretty soon. But when they reached out to me, they were really great. Their customer service was amazing. I think I sent them, they said to send a picture, so I only sent a link to that other dog bone, and it turned out just fine. So they sent me the other one. They had a lot of other things, like they had like 100-foot 50 amp cable, and they had 30 amp cables, but by the time I got back to them, which was like 2 days later, they were already sold out. So they went quick. Seems like they're in their website, these things go pretty quick, which is a good thing. But you know, they sent these pretty quick as well. So it didn't take long for me to receive them. And overall, they have a wide selection, so especially if you've got the plug twist circle screw-on connector, they've got plenty of those. And they've got some of these dog bones in stock right now, and then their cabling apparently comes in stock pretty quickly as well. So yeah, overall I'm happy with it. That is what I'm going to do from now on, to inspect my cables. Turn the other way, so hopefully the wind is coming from that way. It doesn't affect us as badly, but that's it. Like I said, you know, I could go deeper, but there's some great people, great YouTubers out there that go really deep into some of this stuff. And if you know, I went deep on the plug, obviously showed you exactly how to put that smart plug in. But if there's any other anything else that I would need to cover more deeply that's, I think, unique, I'll do it. But until then, I'll leave that up to them. But this is, you know, how you inspect your cables, and what they should look like, to make sure that you're safe for a trip and you're not going to cause a fire or an electrical short or burn up your converter, both. You'll burn it all up. So you want to make sure that stuff is safe inside your RV. I did have a friend recently, I think he was actually on Camp Lejeune, and he had a 30 amp plugged into his casita, and there was a short in the line because they were doing work, and it blew out the inverters in a bunch of RVs, even some really nice ones that had built-in surge protectors. So I think a couple of those guys had nice enough ones that the company was going to reimburse for the repair, but he didn't. So he had to get it. He had to tow his RV or his travel trailer to get it fixed. And that's why electrical is so important, because he was without power, without AC, without a water pump for water. All those things you're going to lose without this. So you want to make sure it's good. Obviously in that case, none of this helped, but in a less likely scenario, you could have, or more likely scenario, you could have, you know, problems with your cables, and you want to make sure they're sealed up properly, they're not damaged, and you're going to be fine. So thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. There's a bell, comments, all those things that don't cost you anything and are free. And we'll definitely catch you on the next one.